Let's now welcome a scientist dedicated to natural medicine and microbiological therapies, Dr. Uwe Peters, from the Institute for Microbiology in Herborn, Germany. He has held leadership roles with the Hoferland-Gesellschaft, a professional association representing integrative medicine practitioners and NME, where he was vice president and now serves on the board. Dr. Peters, please take it from here.
Thank you a lot that I can stay here and speak to you. And I want to mention some new points, and I called my lecture The New Holistic Concept of Microbiome Therapy. And this title, you see, I'm a liar. So microbiological therapy has a holistic approach all the time. And it is thousands of years old. And we know that we have kefir. We have the microorganism, we have bacteria, we have fungi, and nothing is new. But we didn't understand what happened in this time, but we have seen the health effect of this nutrition with kefir. So it was a little bit a secret, but now we know more and more about this secret. And so I'm not really a liar. I will show you some new aspects in this field. And I will ask you, have you ever thought about your cooperation with your gut bacteria? So they are there. And it is an evolutionary process. But it is like we are here in this room for TCIM with different thinking about this item. But we have one direction, and often we have different interests. But at least we have one direction. And this is important for the cooperation with your gut bacteria as well. If you have malnutrition, if you have stress, if you have high oxidative stress, you stress your bacteria as well. And it is very worse for your health if your body and your cells of the body went in another direction as your bacteria. And so we have to cooperate, and we have to help our organism, our body, to cooperate each other. This is an important point in this field. And I am coming from the field of ecology. And we have talked about a lot of science, and we have heard a lot of criticism on the new way of science. And I know this criticism because the ecologists are not really scientists, because they have not the possibility to have all the conditions stable and change one condition. So we are working in the field in nature. And so we have the climate, we have wind, we have rain, we have cold days, we have dry days, we have sunny days, and plants react in another way. And it's not the same curve you get if you search in a field like a grassland, like a forest like this. You get other results as in the laboratory. And the thinking for the ecologists is the same way we have in this field of health. Now we have to put our ecosystem into the laboratory and make models. But it is models, it's not nature. And this is a new holistic concept. And it is not a concept only for medicine. So we are not cars, we are not machines. We are human beings in an ecosystem. And we react in this ecosystem. And it's the same way with the microbiological therapy. So as I started, all my colleagues was laughing about a little bit because we have learned that there are no bacteria in the gut. 10 years later, they say, oh, it was a very good way you went because you believed that there are bacteria. And I say, no, I didn't believe. I know, because a lot of Eastern research in the Eastern countries like Hungary, Bulgaria, like Russia, like Czechia, they know a lot about microorganisms in the soil, and microorganisms in the soil, you can transfer it into the gut ecosystem. And now we are starting to look for ecosystem with the bacteria. Not only the forest is not everything you see above the soil, the forest is living inside the soil. This is the same, and we are living inside the gut. And so we started with pro and prebiotics. That's the common way. And what were we doing? What is the best prebiotic? What is the best strain of lactobacilli? And you get all these monocausal works, all this literature. You can go in PubMed and you find that it is plantarum, that is rhamnosus, that is, I don't know, bulgaricus. And this is the objective, this is a positive effect. But it is one effect, and it is not an ecological effect. And prebiotics, what have they to do? It is just and thinking of utilization. So is it helpful for us, for our body? And so we give them synthetic starch. I will talk later about this subject. It is just the thinking they have to do something good for us. And that's not the holistic way in this field we have to show. And this is pro and prebiotics. It is well known. And is this what I talk to you? What are the best bacteria we can substitute? But we can't substitute bacteria. So it's an ecosystem. And if you thought about bacterials, thought about evolution, if you have 3 generations or 4 generations in a year, and that is a minimum. 4 generations of bacteria in your gut, and you live 50, 60, 70 years, it is 300 generations of bacteria. And 300 generations back to mankind, yeah, you are in the, behind the Ice Age. Yes, first mankind, Homo sapiens. You are back to the roots, to the Homo sapiens. And this happened in your body, in one life, and is not such substitution. So it is an organism inside your body. And we have to respect this organism, his energy, his influx to our body. And this feeding of the bacteria, yes, it's just feeding. But is it the way they need? Or is it better? In old times, we had good nutrition, and so it was a balance between our nutrition and nutrition for our gut bacteria. So it is another side, another mindset to think about your gut bacteria. And then it is very interesting, homeopathy. So I did some research, and it was very, very interesting to see. And this was, as I started, one of the holistic points. I have learned for 30 years ago that you can do microbiological therapy not without a whole therapeutic concept. And one point was signaling with some bacteria to give just a signal, just an input for a new reaction. And we have a lot of different therapeutic themes with included homeopathy remedies in this field. And I did a research with Okubaka, and it was very, very interesting. So it was some of these artificial models as well we used. And they thought that it is a part of reality. If you talk to these guys, they are doing this modeling there in these bottles with bacteria. It is not the form bacteria live in your gut as they thought it's living in these bottles, because you give the enzymes and you give nutrition and so on. But it was possible to find out that homeopathy is working on bacteria. And it was a very, very easy concept what we did. So we had these bottles. There was feed, the enzymes was inside, and we put inside a little bit of Okubaka every day. So we incubate all with Okubaka, and the placebo was without Okubaka. And then we took an aliquot from both lines, and we put inside some pathological Enterobacteriaceae, and we looked how was the rate of replication of these pathogens. And in the line with the Okubaka, it was less replication than in the line from the placebo. So Okubaka strengthens the immune system of our gut bacteria. And bacteria have immune reactions. and they can stabilize their ecosystem. And you can help them with homeopathy to stabilize. And we are very proud that we had the chance to give it to a gastroenterological newspaper, and they accepted it. It was a very hard work. It was a long time run. You can imagine what happened if you have the first line, you gave it inside to the newspaper, but at least it was published. And then it's a new way, and the title was New Holistic Site. And so we are looking for signal cascades now. What happened if you have an input from microbiological therapeutics, or if you use homeopathy, or if you use other things like like the fungi? Now it is a new trend, and it is not only the working of the substances of fungi, there might be some signaling. And mTOR is one of the new cell generation, anti-inflammation, signaling cascade. So we have discussed in the field you read a lot of. But if you have this in this publication here, so there's a new word, it is epigenetic. And I told you we have a lot of generations. And the surrounding of our gut, if there are toxins, if you have the right or the wrong nutrition, it is stress or eustress or distress for the bacteria as well, and you have epigenetic effects. And so you can put all the data from the models. It is nice to have, nice to understand the mechanism, but if it happened in you, and in you, it's a question mark furthermore. So we don't know what happened in the individual, and we need different concepts of treatment, and so we have the holistic side. And we can use the prebiotics, we can use the probiotics, we can use homeopathy, we can use phytotherapy, and we have to find out for every individual. And we don't have to have one publication and say, oh, that's the way now. No, it isn't. You have all your therapeutic tools, and you have to use it to make it, because we don't nothing about the epigenetic effects of bacteria. So it's a very, very complex system. And the next one, so we can do something in diagnostic. It's very interesting. Now it started that we can find out that cytokines in the gut are not the same as in the bloodstream. And we know that we have a mucosal immune system, and it is in another way working as our systematic immune system. And now we can prove what happened in the gut, and you know all these inflammation markers like alpha-1 antitrypsin, you know calprotectin, and so on. And they are not only inflammation markers, they are antimicrobial peptides, and they are using, bacteria are using these peptides to stabilize the ecosystem. And now you can check it if it is an inflammatory process or if it is a stabilizing process for the ecosystem if you include these cytokines. So we have the modern parts of science, but we can use it for the holistic side to understand this system in a better way. And you see here, this epigenetic change everything. If you have a process inside that you have a dysbiosis, so you get a malnutrition, a maldigestion, and all this process lead to leaky gut process and so on. And it's not so easy to say, okay, I give some substance, because behind this is an epigenetic process, and we don't know how we change the epigenetic process back to the originated situation. It's very, very difficult, and so we need the whole toolbox and not one of the best strains. So someone from the pharmacy is coming and tell you that we have here the publication, and this is the best strain in the world you can find at the moment. It is the work of the therapeutics to find out how you can manage this new situation and stabilize the situation. And there are some new aspects. It is not only bacteria, it's not fungi, it might be cyanobacteria as well, because they have surface molecules. They can help us to regulate the system. And there's a clamat algae from Ontario in America, in US. It is one of the most researched cyanobacteria with health effects. And so you have this surface structure. And normally, if you have the physiologist, you said, oh no, no lipopolysaccharides inside, because it is the strongest substance to start an inflammation process, and it's not good for the body. But now we know there's a lot of different kinds of LPS, and you can use it for health effect inside the microbiological therapy, and you can treat all this overactivated immune reaction with lipopolysaccharides. Others, as you can read in the book of physiology. So very interesting aspects they are starting, and you see here you have an anti-allergic effect, you have an effect against chronic inflammation, and a lot of positive effects that you stable the immune system in the reaction between body and the bacteria. And the last point, it is a new point. It is a development of this Association for Doctors of Microbiological Therapy. And this is cooperation and autobiotics. So it is automolecular medicine. You know, vitamins, minerals, they're important for us. They're important for our bacteria as well. And so we find a galenic. We had talked about Galen in the Alchemistic Museum here. It is one of his works that he have the idea how you can transport useful substances inside the body to special organs. This is a part of the pharmacology. It is galenic. And the autobioticum has a special production way so that it is not for resorption, what is there inside the autobiotic. It is to go to the last part of the ileum, the first part of the colon, to feed and to help our bacteria in this situation. And as I mentioned first, prebiotics, if you give this isolated starch, it is like fast food for bacteria. It can be helpful in the acute situation, but we are only looking, are our bacteria producing butyric acid? Are they doing the propionate acid? Yes, so we want to utilize them, but it's not cooperation if you want to utilize your partner. And we have to live in a partnership with our gut bacteria for our health, and so we need other ways. And one way is to help them to maintain their energy system. And have you ever thought about how bacteria made ATP? So you know it is a mitochondria, but it's a complete other way in bacteria, and I will show you. It is in the outer membrane that they have this electron transport chains. And in the colon, so we say it is anaerobic, but we know that there are aerobic bubbles, and they live in aerobic bubbles. The colon is not only anaerobic bacteria, because they have these aerobic bubbles, and also the anaerobia have to produce ATP in the cytoplasm, and everything around. If there are toxins in the environment in your gut, you block the metabolism of your bacteria. You took away the chance to produce ATP and to cooperate with you. Yeah? If you are not healthy, if you have hard work and you want to sleep, you can't do your work at home, you can't go to the Congress, and that's the same for the bacteria. They need the energy to cooperate with the cells of our body. And so we have to protect them from toxins, and we have to help them for their electron transport change. And one of this comes from the soil and from other microbiological ecosystems. And we have seen that Q10 is one of the important substances, and as well the polyphenols are very important to take away oxidative stress out of the gut ecosystem for our bacteria. And we hope now we started to explore this new kind of products of autobiotics and to find a better way to cooperate with our gut bacteria. And I hope you enjoyed Prague. Thank you, Thomas, that you have this health congress here. You enjoyed Prague with beer and wine and good food. And stay healthy and cooperate with your gut bacteria. And I hope I can, a little bit make you curious to use microbiological therapy in your practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peters. We appreciate the expertise you brought to us with this session. Thank you very much.